Everyone. Just the meaner.
Okay. We're up to Kuf Tes Vav Amid Beis. Kuf Tes Vav Amid Beis. Yeah, you're flappish. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 lines from the bottom. 9 lines from the bottom.
Will we make it to the seal this week?
Bez Hashem. Bez Hashem. Now, we saw yesterday. We saw yesterday the Gemara that a person we be able to go ahead, and if he had 10 barrels of a truma that's tamei, or 10 barrels of truma that had been uncovered, and you had a problem of gilui, you can go ahead and take one of them and separate trumas maisa. So he's separating the trumas maisa from the maisa rishon. You're separating that, and you could do that. We said that even though you're separated, if it's broken, so it's breaking, right? And you're separating it. So even though it's holach leibud, even though it's being lost, you could do that, right? But the Gemara said shemen you can't do it because shemen is could be burnt. Shemen could be burnt. Now the Gemara is going to have a problem. But how could you separate wine that goes to ibud? You can use that for what's called ziluf. Is aromatics. They don't have the spray, but they would go ahead for aroma. They throw it around. So the Gemara we're picking up over there. Omamar, about 9 lines to the bottom on Kuf Tes Vav bits. Omamar, ubeshemen yasakain. If you have a barrel of shemen that's breaking, you don't separate Trumas Maisa from that because you'll be causing the kohen a loss. Because even though it's tamei, he could go ahead and use it he could use it as a fuel source. By the way, Tosis, we didn't address this yesterday. So why would that be a problem with gilui? What's the problem of burning this with gilui? That's the problem of burning. Goes, you may come to touch it. You may come to touch it. It's sakana if you would touch it. That's roy lahadlik, and therefore, since it serves a purpose and it's being lost, that you're not able to separate it. Yayin nami roy leziluf. Yayin also is roy for what? To be what? For spraying the house. So therefore, it also is a loss. So why is that okay and shemen not okay? If you'll say ziluf lav milsahi, if you're going to tell me that what? Ziluf is not considered anything choshev, right? And therefore it's not considered a loss. Shmuel says we're a penny. We're about 6 lines up. We're Masechta Baba Kama penny, and we're towards the end of Masechta Baba Kama penny, where many people have done 115 blot penny, and yes, penny. Penny's giving me the Z. You know what the Z is? Not the sign of Zorro. It's zing.
Make an S.
Oh, S for Siyam he wants. S for Siyam. Okay, we're good. Okay, anyway. So you can tell me Ziluf is nothing. Go ahead and spell for spend for drinking a loig at the price of a seller a loig. Umizalfin, and for this aromatic dropping of wine, miloig b'shtayim, in other words, 2 sloyim. So you see, you even spend more money on using it as aromatic than you would as something you drink. So Fred de Marakasha, again, just to reiterate, you have 10 barrels of Ma'aser Rishon. One of them breaks. You're able to say that broken one should be the truest mice on the other ones. However, if that barrel is shemen, don't do it because you're causing the kohen a monetary loss. Says the Gemara, even if it's wine, you're causing the Gemara the kohen a monetary loss. So this the fact that it's you can be mizalef with it. So and for the Gemara, b'chachmei skin and b'chadash, right? B'chadash, you're speaking about what? About new wine. New wine does not have an aroma. So therefore, it's not royal ziluf. Therefore, it's not a loss. So it's breaking. There's nothing lost. Why? Because you can't use it for ziluf since it doesn't have an aromatic smell. You can keep it around, and in other words, you're saying right now it's not worth anything. But eventually, if it stays around, it will be worthy for ziluf. So why isn't considered a potential loss? The Gemara says, you may come to a takala. What's the takala? That you might drink it. And again, it's tameya. The kohen says, so therefore, let it go. Shemen nami de takala. Shemen also what will come to, you're going to keep the tamei to shemen around. Aren't we worried that what that it's come to a takala? So why does the Gemara say that shemen, if the barrel that's broken is shemen, don't separate it? Aren't you worried that what that if you don't separate, if you keep around shemen that's tamei, aren't we worried that you may come to go ahead and use it? Says Gemara b'kli mois, the mancha b'kli mois. You took the shemen and you put it in a disgusting kli. Since it's in a disgusting kli, you won't come to eat it, use it as a food stuff. It's in a disgusting kli. Fred the Gemara yayinami manachle b'kli mois. Says the Gemara, like if you worry about takala and the salvation of the kli takala for shemen is to put it in a dirty schmutzitika kli, so put the shemen also in put the yayin also in a schmutzitika kli. Says the Gemara, 1 second. Hashta lezilov kaboila. You need it for something that's very positive and smells nice. The kli mois kamanchale, and you're going to put it in a kli mois. Therefore, we have an explanation of this price. Okay, so if you have 10 barrels of wine and they're tamei, truma tameya, maisa rishon tameya, and it goes ahead and one breaks, go ahead and say that's to be trumas maisa, provided that it is chadash, provided that it's new wine that does not have an aroma. Enochinami, if it was wine that did have an aroma, you would not be able to do that because it's the same as shemen, where you're causing the koyin a monetary loss. And says the Gemara, no. And if you're worried that you're worried about takala, that something, if you keep around something that's tamei, then it may come to something negative that you might come to eat it. That in fact is a machloikis tanoim. The Tanya. You have a barrel of yayin that of tamei to truma. Now, if you eat truma that's tamei, you chayiv misa b'dei shemayim, right? You chayiv misa. So if you have that around, Beis Shammai says, Tishbach hakol. We're worried about what? About you keeping it around, so get rid of it. Beis Hillel Aimim, Taseh Ziluf. And Beis Hillel says, go ahead and use it for Ziluf. So l'chayr machloikis, whether you're worried about keeping something around is takala, right? Would be machloikis Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel. Rabbi Yishmael, Rabbi Yossi, Ani achriya, I will go ahead and be the compromiser. B'bayis haseh ziluf, b'sadeh tishbach hakol. In the house where it's royal ziluf, keep it around. In the field where it is no purpose of ziluf, then throw it out. Ikar di amri biyoshen taseh ziluf. If it's new wine, old wine, use it for ziluf. U'b'chodesh tishbach hakol. Amuloi, they told Rabbi Shmuel, einach rosh lishus machras. Your compromise is nishkan compromise. Here, guys, eye contact. A compromise is the following. When two people are saying similar things, and you go ahead and you come up and you... So, had Beis Shammai mentioned house and Beis Hillel mentioned field, you could go ahead and be machriya. This din of house, that's only if it's aromatic wine. This din of field, if it's not, not. In other words, I can go ahead. If you mentioned house, then you mentioned field, then I can go ahead and be machriya. But if you didn't mention house, you simply said any wine that's tamei you got to throw out, says Beis Shammai. Any wine that's okay, that it's tamei you can keep around, says Beis Hillel. Didn't mention house or anything. That's a third opinion. A hachra is a compromise between two existing opinions, and therefore you're machriya the existing opinions. But over here, it's a totally different opinion. Let's see Rashi. It's a nice Rashi. It's a huge, look, big places here. Let's see. We'll see the Rashi. Second line from the top. Einach rosh lishus machras tam atzmcha ato aimer. You're saying your own reasoning. You're saying your own reasoning. V'loy kidvarei k'divrei echem mehem, and not like the words of any one of them. Sheshneim lo yiskiru bayis v'sadeh. Neither one of them mentioned house or field. Okay, so therefore, your opinion is a separate opinion. It's not a compromise between Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel. V'hechi domi achra. What would an example of you be machriya be? You're going. Ihabitani Beis Shammai bein shenitma babayis bein shenit b'sadeh. Had Beis Shammai said, regardless if it became tummy in the house or the field, tishbach hakol Whether it's in the house or the field, you do ziluf. Rabbi Shmuel Leimer, nitma besada tishbach hakol bebayis tasa ziluf. The time of the travail come across, because then you machriya the reason of both of them. In other words, it'll be 2 against 1. Guys, if Beis Shammai said his din only in the house, and you said only in the field, and you come along now, Rabbi Shmuel, and say the Allah is like Beis Shammai by here, and Beis Hillel like this, you would put 2 against 1. But now you're saying, they didn't mention house, they didn't mention field, you're saying your own thing. Okay, so that's the, okay. Back in the Gemara. Now, what was the case that we got into? A person was carrying a barrel of wine, a person was carrying a barrel of honey, and the barrel of honey broke, and it's more expensive. So the person did the following: he took his wine, he threw it out, and he captured the person's honey. What's he entitled to? He's entitled to the rental of the barrel and his wages, not for the loss of wine throwing it out. However, if he tells the person that I'm throwing out my wine, you pay for the wine, right? Pay for the wine, then he's entitled to the wine. So we're picking it up over there. Says the Gemara. Im amaloi atzul eshelcha, I will save yours, and you will go ahead what? And atanoisonly demei shali, you give me my worth. Nechayev li tein loy. Amai, why is he chayev to give it to him? V'neimolei mishatani b'cha. I'm goofing on you. I'm goofing on you. In other words, this is a very interesting svara, fellas. If a person agrees to something without any external factor pushing him to do it, so clearly he's saying, I'm willing to do this. Over here, what's happening? In front of his own eyes, he has the precious honey going to waste, and you tell him, I'm throwing out my wine. You know what? You're going to pay me for my wines? You'll say anything at that time to save your honey. And then, when it comes to the reimbursing him for his wine, you could say, I really didn't mean it. I was joshing with you. Again, you can't say it any time, but if there's mitigating circumstances why you would say it, then there's such a svara. The mitigating circumstance over here is he's going to lose his honey. It's going to waste. So Fred the Gemara, why do you say unequivocally, just because the guy said, I'm going to go ahead and throw out my wine, you're going to pay me for my wine, you go ahead and you have to pay him? Why don't you say Mishatin L'cha? Why don't you say I'm just joshing with you? That's the Gemara's kasha. That's the Gemara's kasha. Where do you see such a svara? Miloi Tanya, did we not learn the following brisa? The guy is running away from prison. He's a fugitive. He's Richard Jansen, for those who remember, right? Right. He's Richard Jansen. He's running away from the one-armed man. Okay, just a little bikiyas over here. And there was a ferry in front of him. There was a boat in front of him, and he wants to get across the river. So Amallah, he tells the riverman, tool dinner, take this dinar, Vavirani, and pass me across. Now, a dinar is expensive, guys. A dinar, you're talking about 25 silver dinarim, if it's a gold dinar. This is an expensive chip. This is an expensive chip. And he says it. Ein lo yelascharai. He doesn't get the dinar. He doesn't get the dinar. But what does he get? He gets what a person gets if we're taking a person across the river. The person said, I'm giving you a dinar. What's the answer, guys? There's mitigating circumstances why you would say this. So in other words, he's saying what? Meshatin lecha, I'm just goofing on you. Alma amalei, what do we say? Meshatin nibacha. So hachanami leimalei, let him say to the Baal Devash, say to the Baal Yayin who threw it as Yayin. Meshatin nibacha, I'm joking on you again. I think it's a good sushtel. Says the Gemara, no, I got a bit. Yeah.
He's losing his wine, and the ferryman at the end is getting his normal fare for taking the guy.
But the guy said, I'm giving you a dinar. He didn't say, he said, I'm giving you a dinar.
Then you can say he was joking with him, and the ferryman is getting his
Again, I was joking with you when I tell you I'm going to pay you the wine.
But guys, the ferryman's not losing anything.
Oh, okay, hang in there. Says the Gemara, Halei Dami, it's not similar. Ela l'seifa. Vim amaloi tul dinar zeh b'scharcha. He says to him, take this dinner in your wages. V'havirani, then nois l'schar l'mushlim, then you give the whole dinar. If you said that, then you give the whole dinar. Fred the Gemara, Maishna Reisha, Maishna Sefer. Why does adding the word scharcha mean that you have to pay the dinar? So I'm Rabbi Chomar. What are we speaking about over here? This is going to answer your question, Dov. Bitsayid, Hashoyle dogim in hayam. It's speaking about a fisherman. This is not just a guy, a raft guy. This is a fisherman. And guess what? By you going ahead and using his boat, what you're costing him money. The fish he could have caught at that time. So if he says, "I'll give you schara mushlam," then what you have to pay, and that's the similarity over here. In both cases, if sadatani kabre bezuza, you went ahead and you caused me to lose the car for a zuz. If you only can pay me a zuz instead of a dinar, you cost me all the time that I could have been fishing. Very good though. You cost me all the money I could have made fishing, and therefore the same thing over here. So we don't say mishata nibacha. Says the Rashi says, behind the b'schari diktani, the Rashi the avsada to kavri bezuza, behind b'scharoi diktani. That's the schar that he said. Tul dina b'schar she'ata mafsid kan. Take this dina for the schar that you're going to take loss now, the loss that you could have made fishing. B'tavireni, and pass me across. Then nicely is a schar mushlim. He has to go ahead and pay that. Umasnisa nami, and here's what Dov just said. Hare hefsidoi nicker. His hefsid's nicker because he threw out his wine, and therefore you don't say what? Mishata nibecha. Therefore you don't say what? I'm just joshing with you. Okay, so when you mentioned the schar, in other words, you don't say mishati lecho and what when the guy is taking a loss. When he, you could say it, but obviously the guy, if you can't say it where the guy is losing. In this case, he was losing his wages of fishing. In this case, he was losing his wine. We don't say I'm just joshing with you. Geshmak Gemara. Okay, we said a second case in the Mishnah, aside from the case of the cracked honey barrel, we have the case of chamar. What was the case of chamar? A guy has, there's two chamarim, one's an expensive one, one's a $200 chamar, one's a $100 chamar, comes along the water and it's taking away both of them. Only one could be saved. And lo and behold, the guy who owes the hundreds goes ahead and he saves the guy, the one that's worth 200. He doesn't get his money back. What does he get? He gets the scar for saving whatever this wages will be for saving that animal. However, if he tells him, I'm leaving mine to save yours, right? And you'll pay me, then he'll get it. Okay. The obvious question is, why tell me two cases, guys? Why are you telling me two similar cases? Bitzricha, you have to tell me the case of yayin and honey, and you have to tell me a case of donkeys. If you tell me just the first one by the cracked barrel, Hassan, I would say who the perish over there when he explains that, and I want you to pay me the money for throwing out my wine. Yahiv leid the meikula. He'll have paid the whole thing. You know why? The mishun to be a dime come mafsid. He's mafsid his physically. He's mafsid his wine, fellas. He's taking his barrel and he's emptying it out. So since he's doing it directly, I would say, hey, I got to pay him. Aval hacha. What happens by the chamar? The memela, right? It happens memela. The fact that he's saving the $200 one is causing his $100 to be lost. He's not being mastered by a dime. It's happening as a result of a natural occurrence, the river overflowing. So nema ein lo yel schar. Right? I would say what? He only has a schar. The yashmin and seifa, the case of the chamar, hachahu the bistama, in the case of stam, ein lo yel schar. Over there, again, there's two cases. The case where he doesn't say anything, and the case where he says something. I'd say the case of Chamor, where it's Mimela and he doesn't say anything, therefore he doesn't get the $100 for his donkey. Masha'en came the ratio where physically he is going ahead and breaking it, even stama, without going ahead and verbalizing that what? I'm saving your barrel on Manasseh, I throw this out. I would say stama. He gets it, Kamash Malon, he has to verbalize it. Even by the case of the barrel of the wine, I would say even if he doesn't say anything about the wine, he simply goes ahead biyadayim and throws it out and saves the honey. I might say Yav leid the meikula. He has to pay not only his wages but for the wine as well. The etzricha, you have to tell me that no, you have to verbalize it. And if you don't verbalize it, you will only get to pay what your wages. Okay, very gishmak. Boy mine Rav Kahana may Rav. Yored lehitzel. He says your chamar. He says your chamar. What is? I'm going to save your chamar. He goes down. I'm going to save that chamar. And the guy says, "Listen, you're right. You save it. I'll pay you for your donkey. I'll pay you for your donkey." So he goes down, and he saves it. He saves the $200 one, and lo and behold, va'ola shaloi me'elav. Guess what happens? $100 donkey crawls up and saves himself. Question: Does he have to pay him for the donkey or not? Guys, what's the case? Guys, what's our case? Guys, outside. What's our case? You have a $200 donkey, a $100 donkey. By you saving the 200, you're losing the $100 donkey. Good. What happens if, lo and behold, you saved the $200 donkey, you fulfilled your condition, and now the $100 donkey is also saved? Do you say the following, guys? Listen to the outside. Do you say the donkey, the $100 donkey is hefker? Because again, he said, I'm giving up hope in this donkey. I'm going after the $200 donkey. It's hefker. And therefore, when he goes and gets it, he is reacquiring it. And the person of the 200 is going to have to pay him his 100. Because again, the donkey's gone. Or do we say, since he didn't take a loss, the bottom line, he didn't take a loss, then he doesn't have to pay him the 200. That's the shayla according to Rashi. That's the shayla according to Rashi. The Rabbi has another interesting way of looking at it. Can the $200 guy be zeicha in the $100 donkey? In other words, it was mafker al yedei on a condition that I get this one. But in other words, so it's gone because I'm getting this one, and now it shows up. Can the 200 guy get the donkey? We have to roll. It's hefker. Or do we say no? Do we say it was mafker like conditionally, and therefore you shouldn't be able to get it? Okay, we'll stick with Rashi, guys. Again, so according to Rashi, guys, the 200, he made the deal. I'm going to get your 200. I'm going to lose my 100. Lo and behold, he gets the 200, and now mamish a nest happens, and who crawls up out of the muck? This $100 donkey, right? He goes ahead, he grabs his donkey. Question: does the other person who said, "I'll pay you your donkey," have to pay him or not? What's the tzad that he has to pay him? The donkey, as soon as he said, "I'm getting the 200," that donkey's hefker now. So it's like, for all intents and purposes, he lost his donkey. He gets it back. He's being claimed from hefker. And therefore he'd have to pay him the 100. Or do we say the whole condition was that that you lose your donkey? I'll reimburse you when you're losing your donkey. You're not losing your donkey, so do I have to reimburse you or not? That's the shaila according to Rashi. Geschmack. Boy minei Rav Kanami Rav. Yored lahatzel. You go down to get the $200 donkey. V'olah shaloi me'elav, and this $100 donkey comes up by itself. Mahu. What's the din? Amalei mishmaya rach mi'aleha. He gets the $100. He got his donkey back. Hashemai. It was mamish mishamayim. Hashem erachmanas on him. He won the lottery, but Einochinami was hefker, was gone, and therefore the $200 owes him. It's saved. Mishamayim, they rachmanas on him. Kihod Rav Safra, like the case of Rav Safra, who that Havi Koazal B'Shei Rasa, right? Rav Safra was what? He joined a caravan. Rav Safra, he went ahead and he joined the caravan. And what did they do? Levinu Ahuari. What was being alive in them? A lion. They decided, listen, they're going through dangerous places. Instead of getting a watchdog, they got a watch lion. Not bad, right? Now, a lion needs basically one thing. He needs to eat. So here's what they did. All the people involved, they took turns. Each one would feed, what do you feed a lion? A donkey. So each one, every night, took choice. Like, we want to keep this lion happy, right? After all, we got, talking about Sherlock, talking about the Pony Express, we got Leo. We go ahead, right? And you each night you throw him a donkey. Lo and behold, Rav Safra throws him his donkey, and the lion doesn't eat it. Rav Safra now, question, he comes back and gets his donkey. It's like his donkey now? And why? Because Min Hashemayim, they had Rachmanis, didn't eat it. Well, no. So in other words, that's they said that the donkey belongs to Rav Safra, who in this case that the donkey belongs to the 100 Mishamayim, and therefore you can get your $100. So here's what happened. So they had this a lion does accompany them. Kalayla shadulay. Each night they would throw him chamra, a donkey. The chad minayu. The ka'achal. Kimat is mani de Rav Safra. When it came Rav Safra's turn, shadulay chamra, he threw him a donkey. V'layachle, and didn't eat it. Kodem Rav Safra b'zachabe. Again, why do Kodem Rav Safra? So obviously when he threw the donkey to the lion, it was hefker. Obviously when he threw the donkey it was hefker. So he went ahead to be zeicher from hefker. So Amalei Rav Achim Diflu Ravina Lamalei LeMizaki. But why did he have to go ahead? Good. He was mafkir for the lion. He wasn't mafkir for everybody else. So why would he have to go ahead and be zeicher? So I'm Rav Safra the Rav Chalim Suda, but he did what? He did Lefnei Meshura Satin. He really didn't have to. He went above board. Rashi said, right? There shouldn't be any question. People shouldn't say, "Oh, you know what? It's not really yours. You threw it to the donkey. It doesn't belong to you." Let's see it. So so therefore, in our case, where again the case of he saved the 200 and lo and behold, 100 showed up, the person who made the deal with him, the 200 owner of the 200 donkey, would have to give him 100. He didn't take a loss. That's Min HaShamayim. Let's say bottom twices, guys. Interesting twices. Makes a very interesting chilik. Adaiti the Ari Afgare. Loidami, this case of Rav Safra is not comparable. Lahad Amar Ve'elam Etzias. The famous case we say in Elam Etzias, which we're going to get to Be'ezras Hashem within the month. Hamatzal min ha'ari umin hadoiv. If you save an animal from a lion or a dove or a dove or a
bear. The bears.
Anyway, harihu shalai. Meaning, why? Because the owner was miyayish. In other words, if a lion walks off with your calf or your lamb or whatever, someone comes along and lo and behold hits the lion and it leaves the calf, it belongs to the person who hit it. It belongs to him. Why? Because we say when the lion walked off with the calf, you were miyayish. So the same thing over here. You got a lion, you threw the lion the donkey. Why don't we say the same thing? Whoever takes the donkey belongs to him. Why do we say the donkey belongs to Rav Safra? So we're going to make a distinction between the two cases. The Hassam over there in Elam Etzias, Vadai, Sharid Bol Litroif, where the Ari comes from the forest, a wild lion, Kidimashma Hamatzal Min Ari, when it says you save it from the lion, obviously it's a wild lion. Miyayish Lagami, right away, the person's Miyayish. Aval Hacha, Ha'ari Hoyi Mahem. This was kind of a tame lion. This lion was accompanying them. V'hoyi Malavoy Sam, right? He was going along for the ride. Lishma Behimayseim, to watch their animals. Mechayas Velistim, he was watching it from other lions or from robbers. Rak Sheyu Noistim Lechel Chamar B'Chalayla. Didn't cost you much. A donkey a night did the job. The Efsha Shepamayim Hoya Saveya. And sometimes, guess what? He was zat. He was satiated, and he wouldn't eat. Right? Hilkach ein mafker el adaita the achle arye v'halayachle. Therefore, he only was mafkir on das that the lion would the lion would eat, and only the lion and not somebody else. So, be a very very nice distinction between the case in Bab Mitzi and over here. In Bab Mitzi, it was a wild lion. Over here was a tame lion. Bab Mitzi, it's out of the blue that he comes to rip away. Over here, it's expected, right? So therefore, sometimes it can sign that the lion is not hungry. You throw it in, and therefore it's good. Boy, mine Rav may Rebbe. Yored lahatzel. You go down to save the $200 lion. Look, a donkey. Excuse me. You go down to save the $200 donkey. Below hitzel, and you're not successful, and you lost your $100. You lost your $100 donkey. So you go to save the $200 donkey. You're not successful, and now you go ahead. Why didn't you have a $100 donkey? Mahu. So Amr Loi. So Rebbe told Rav, Vizu Sheila, it's good kasha. It's good kasha. However, Ein Lo Yala Scharai. He doesn't get the full price of his donkey. All he gets is the schar. He gets his schar. In other words, he gets like case number one, that if you didn't go ahead and specifically go ahead and say you're going to go ahead and get paid for using your donkey, you'd only get the schar of your wages. Esive, I'll ask you a kasha on that. Asleicher es a pile. Someone rents a worker, Amid Beis, lehevi kruv, to bring cabbage, bidur maskonin, says Rashi, perushin, those are prunes, guys. Those are prunes. So you bring cabbage or prunes, lechayla, for a person who's sick, the halachu matzai shemes, and you go when you find that the person doesn't need them anymore because he's no longer in this world, or better, shehevi, he got healthy, and therefore he doesn't need the cabbage or the prunes. Nice and less scharai, Muslim, he gets his full schar. So you have a kasha. Why over there, where he went down to go ahead and save the donkey and he couldn't, he just gets schar regularly, where he goes down to get the prunes and he gets the prunes, but it's unnecessary anymore that you get full schar. So I don't understand the kasha so much, right? It's a pasha chilik, right? This guy did his shlichus. It's not necessary anymore, but he did what he wanted to do. And it's hard to understand the half mean. Amalei, me dummy, hasam babit shliach shlichusa. By the prunes, he did his shlichus. He was mishtadel, but he didn't do his shlichus. His shlichus was to bring back a $200 donkey, and he didn't. Shayara shahoisa ma'aleches b'midbar. Shayara that was going along the midbar. V'amar le gaius the tarfa, and came along invading troops. Not well, usually it means troops. Here it means robbers. They came to go ahead and plunder. They needed money, and they went ahead and they cut a deal. Now, who pays what? They cut a deal with the guy. Who plays what? Mechashron lefi mamin. It goes according to the person's financial status. The person who had more money would pay more. The person who had less money would pay less. Why? Because since this bandit is attacking for the person's money, that's what they have to lose. But we don't go according to the number of people in the family, because this person is not coming to murder. The and if they hired literally a guide to guide them through the desert, and the desert is a dangerous place, so who would pay the guide more? Then you'd go after the nefashos. Mechashmin aflefi nefashos would go not only, but even the nefashos, because again, as Rashi says, the midbar is a dangerous place, and therefore you go ahead and take into account the amount of people who would be endangered by the midbar without this guide. And don't be mishana for the minig of the donkey drivers. Whatever, if they took more money, if their price was money, then money. If the price was based upon the ratio of nefashos, whatever the minig is. And the chamarim, the wagon drivers, can make the following tanai: anyone who loses his chamor, yamid loy chamor acher, that they'll go ahead and provide another chamor, and each one will provide the replacement. It seems to be that each one would watch the chamorim together. So there was a condition among them, if you lose your chamor, and then we'll go ahead and reimburse you for the chamor, that you should be part of it. However, Bekusya, if he did it, he used Paisheya when he lost his donkey, then we won't go ahead and help him get another donkey. But without being Pashia, we would. And if he says, listen, I lost you want to buy me a new donkey? That's great. I don't want donkey, I want cash. You give it to me, and we have another gersa, vani lo keach. In other words, again, these the chamorim, these are donkey drivers, and they're parking their donkeys for the night, and they will all go ahead and be part of the shmira, and they'll all be part of the losses, because they're the collective, so this guy says the following: I lost my donkey, you're going to provide me with another donkey, give me cash, I don't need the donkey, and I'll watch. Says, go, ain't shaymin law, you don't listen to him. Says in Pshit, of course you don't listen to him. He's got to be part of the collateral of the cohort over here. Says more like tzricha the islay chamrachmin. This guy has another chamar, so he lost one and he has another one, and they want to buy him another one. He can't say, listen, I have a chamar anyway, I'm going to watch, and don't give me money instead of the chamar. We don't listen to him. That's the chiddush, that you buy another chamar. Why? So he's going to watch anyway because he has a chamar among the herd. He'll do a better job. The difference between watching one and watching two. So he can't go ahead and say, listen, go ahead and take back this one and I'll watch. No. You no money, no cash. We can provide you with another donkey and you'll have to take the other donkey. Nice Gemara today after yesterday. Tarabanan. Svina shahoisem alechas biyam. A similar halacha. We just dealt with wagon drivers. Now we're going to deal with the convoy of ships. Svina shahoisem alechas biyam. Amar aleha nachshal l'toiva. Comes along what? A swell to go ahead and take it down. You have a large waves. The kilu mimasa. So what's the first thing you do is you unload the load. Then mechashmin l'fi masoi. So you have a bunch of people on the boat. We don't care about quality. All we care about is quantity. We don't care about gold. We only care about weight. So a pound of gold is equal to a pound of iron. It's irrelevant. The quality of it only care as quantity. We don't consider what a person's losing. You're not mishana whatever the minig of the sailors are. For a shoy and asfina hasnois, and the sailors can make a condition among themselves. Of the leisfina yamad leisfina acheres, they'll provide another boat. Good. Again, this is speaking about a convoy of ships, and this again is similar halacha to a herd of donkeys. However, of the loy b'kusya, if he lost the ship as a result of his pshia, emamidim. Shaloi b'kusya, not as a result of his pshia, they mamidim. The pirish l'makam shein asfinas holchim, and if he goes to a place where sfinas are not supposed to go, emamidim, then you're not going to. There's no pshita. It's pashit. In other words, he's being pasheya by going in a place where he's not supposed to go. So, guys, just a piece of information: in Nisan, the water is very high because you have the melting of the snow. In Tishrei, over the summer, it evaporates, the water is very low. So in Nisan, the ship can go closer to the shoreline, and in Tishrei, it's got to go farther away. So now, in Nisan, they distance themselves one rope length, because again, if the water is high enough since of the melting snow. But Tishrei, merach me trey ashley, two rope lengths. Because why? Because it's not so, it's much lower. Because this person went in Nisan, when the water is very high, he went in the place of Tishrei, where the water is very high. So therefore, you might think he's Pasheya. He's just following his routine from Tishrei, and he's not considered a Pasheya. Kamashma, that's Pasheya. Again, so, and if you lose, the Gemara says, and he goes ahead in a place where he's not supposed to go, then it's considered Pasheya, and he loses it, and then you don't have to reimburse him. Fred, the Gemara, what's the Chiddush over here? And the answer is that in Tishrei he went this place, and in Nisan in Tishrei he went this place, and Nisan he went this place. So in Tishrei he was over here, and Nisan he went the same place, not realizing that it's very strong. If the water is strong enough near the coastline in Nisan, certainly it's going to be stronger farther away. But you might think he's just habitually going to the same place he was in Tishrei. He was in Tishrei in this place, so he went back to the same place. And you might think it's not Pshia, Kamash Malon, it's considered Pshia, and you don't have to provide him with another boat. You would think, again, because he's just doing what he did before. Tan Rabbanan. Shayara shahaysam aleches b'midbar. You have a caravan going in the midbar. V'amid gayis v'tarfa. V'amad echem mehem v'hitzel. Guy stands up and he doesn't give him money. He goes ahead and he goes against them and he wins something. Now, the assumption is if the person, were they mayayish or not? So the halacha is hitzel emsa. Whatever he brings back, a person is entitled to take back what's his. So in other words, he's the one doing all the work, and the people are all gaining. And the guy verbalized and said, "I save for myself." Then hitzala atzma. Then anything he saved goes to him. Now the Gemara wants to know exactly the chayr. It shouldn't be totally in what he says. It should be totally in yish or not. In other words, if they're meyayish, I feel if he doesn't say anything, and if they're not meyayish, I feel he says something. It should make a difference. Says Maheki Dami. What exactly is this case? If they're able to save without yish. I feel a sefer nami le'emsa. Even the sefer also that he should not be able to keep it for himself. Guys, he goes ahead and says, "I'm saving it, but where I'm saving for myself." If they're not miyayish, he could say all he wants. There's no yish, he can't keep it. So why does it say it goes for him? It should go le'emsa for everybody. And if you're not able to save it, and therefore everyone is miyayish, and he goes and saves it, but he doesn't verbalize anything, I feel a reishanami where he didn't verbalize la'atzma should be to him. So Mamanav Shach, I don't understand this brisa. So I'll tell you pshat in the brisa. We're dealing with shutfis. And what's the chiddush over here? That you can go ahead and get rid of the shutfis. If you go ahead and verbalize, I'm saving it for myself, the shutfis is over. If you don't verbalize it, the shutfis is still on. And if you save it, you'll have to go ahead and share it with your shutfis, with your partner. If however you verbalize, even though the other guy's not masking to it, right? This is a way of ending a shutfis. Where a troop takes it away, this will be considered a viable way of ending your partnership. Only if you verbalize it. Omar Polig, if he says I'll do right, Lo Yama Lo Polig. Omar, if he says what? If he says Omar, he says what? That I will Anila Atzmi, then Polig. He's dividing it. Lo Yama Lo Polig. He doesn't say Lo Polig, he's not dividing it. Rav says, we deal with workers. So the guy comes in, we're dealing with a worker. Right? The poil is able to go ahead in half the day and end his working for somebody. As long as he doesn't go ahead and change his mind and say it's latzmi, then it's be'emsa. He's going to go ahead and give for the balabas as well. However, if he goes ahead and changes his mind, there's a different reason that it belongs to him. Only Bnei Yisrael avadim to me and not to another worker, another owner. Rashi Amar. So we have two pshatim, right? We have one pshat, it's speaking b'shutfis. We have another pshat, it's speaking about a worker, and a third pshat, Rashi Amar k'shiyachal hatzal yedei atchak. It's speaking about a regular Joe, and you're able to save al yedei atchak. Goli daite. If he's goli daite la'atzmai, then if he says la'atzmi, then it's himself. Like goli daite, then le'emsa. If it's not goli daite, then it goes what? It goes divided up among everybody else. It says the Mishnah. Hagoisel sada mechaver. Someone steals the sada from his friend. V'nalu masikim. And now we know a karkas ain't an exelis. That means it's not subject to the halachas of gesel. So there's no such as yish, guys. There's no. It's not subject to kanas hashavim, to kanas hashuk. There's no yish by a ground. It's not subject to the halachas. There's no kefil. It's not subject to the halachas of gesela. So now, hagoisel sada mechaver v'nalu masikim. And you have these people who would steal. They'd steal from anyone. So now you have a gazlan stealing from a gazlan. A guy steals a field, comes along a gazlan and steals from him. In Makkah Medina, if it's a Makkah Medina, meaning they're stealing machlokes, how many? Just the whole land, half the land, some of the land, most of the village, some of the city, machlokes b'shainim. You could say, listen, here it is. Here it is. Like everybody else, I'm in the same boat. I returned it to you. It's from here. How you shalach v'necha. The machmas a gazlan. But if it's machmas the gazlan, chayiv lahem loy sadacher, he'd be chayiv to give him another field. And the Gemara is going to describe what does it mean machmas another gazlan. Rav Nachman by Yitzchak, man detani masikin lo mishtamish. The one who says lashon masikin is not making a mistake. Man detani masikin lo mishtamish. The one who says lashon masikin is not making a mistake. Man detani masikin lo mishtamish. Dichsiv b'matzah u b'matzaik. It's an oppressor, and you see lashon matzaik. Man detani masikin with the samich lo mishtamish dichsiv. It says a yorish hatzlatzel. The locust will inherit. Mitteraminon yichasinenu sakah. So sakah sounds like masikin. So Rashi says it's locust. Tosfos says what? It's like people acting like locusts. Okay, we'll stop over here.